Hello, everyone. This is Maynard Warren. Thank you for attending this follow-up session. The purpose of this audio is to walk you through the activities that we're expecting you to get accomplished during this follow-up session. So let's get started. In your participant guide, if you notice, the cover page says Breaking Barriers to Productivity Follow-Up Guide, and where the rubber hits the road and the first activity we'd like for you to get accomplished starts on page 2. Page 2, the title is Introduction. There are 3 paragraphs that we'd like for you to read. And then under those 3 paragraphs is a question. Please answer the question. It's what are the 3 most important concepts you learned in the Breaking Barriers workshop? The follow-up question after that is how have you applied these concepts? And then the last part of the page at the bottom says Group Activity, Most Important Concept. Here, we'd like for you to break into groups if there are enough people in the room and answer that question. What is the number 1 most important thing that you learned in the workshop, and how have you applied it? So please begin with answering those questions. Thank you. Now, as we look at page number 3, on page 3 is a listing of the 12 types of call reluctance. As you remember from the workshop, one of the things that we had asked you to do is to list down the top 2 types of call reluctance that you're the most motivated to work on, to eliminate, to get control over. So here's a listing of the 12 types again. On page 4 is a listing of the 3 imposters. Again, if you recollect from the workshop, we'd ask you to select the number 1 imposter that you're the most motivated to work on, to fix, to make better. And the 3 imposters, just starting with the top diagram there, where it's the little limb connected to the big G. That's, if you look out to the right, it says LM imposter. That stands for low motivation imposter. That's someone who's all talk, no action, because they don't have enough energy to actually execute all the actions they need to execute on. And normally when someone's a low motivation imposter, it means they're either missing some physical energy that they need that could help them have the stamina to get through their work day, work week, work month, or perhaps it's something that's going to be emotional that's currently plaguing them. Maybe there's some bad things going on in their personal life, perhaps in the workplace. But typically when somebody's a low motivation imposter, they're missing either physical and or emotional energy. And that's critical because, that represents how much gas do I have in my tank. The second imposter, the second diagram, is the big M connected to the small g. That's somebody that's all dressed up with no place to go. So that's a low goal imposter, and this one's kind of straightforward. Normally when you have someone with a lot of energy, a lot of gas in their tank, they need to have the steering wheel, and if the goal level is small or non-existent, as it is in this diagram, then that person's going to be putting their energy into all these things that are non-revenue generating, kind of spinning their wheels to a certain extent, because they really haven't decided on what's the most important set of actions that they need to execute on or do. So low goal imposter is very common in commissioned salespeople. And by the way, just put an asterisk by this. If your number 1 goal is to hit quota, in my opinion, that's a horrible goal. Quota is what makes the world go around for sales teams in corporate America. I understand that it's critically important. I understand your manager needs you to hit quota, but quota is the minimum standard of performance. And again, just to reiterate, I think if your number 1 goal is to hit your monthly quota, that's a bad goal, because what I'd like for you to entertain the possibility of is raising your sights. What would happen if you hit 120% of plan, 150% of plan? So it really depends on your circumstances. There are a lot of folks in commission sales that are underperforming right now, so maybe to hit your quota would be a huge victory for you. So I understand that. But also, if you've been doing very well in your job, maybe it's time to raise your goals. The third imposter is the GD imposter. That is goal diffusion. Goal diffusion, if you can see in the diagram, goal diffusion is a person that's got a lot of motivation. You can see that right smack dab in the middle of that diagram. Their problem is, or their challenge is, they've got so many daily goals that they're focusing on that quite oftentimes the first thing that doesn't make their things to do list is prospecting or following up with prospects. Or maybe it made the list. Then at the end of the day, if you're goal diffused, you get to you work through most of your list. The day is done, and you look on your things to do list, and you're like, oh darn, I had prospecting on my list, and I never got around to it. That typically is the number one excuse of someone who has goal diffusion, which is, man, I ran out of time. I just didn't get around to it. So those are the three imposters. Here's what I think is interesting about these three imposters. The three imposters cannot be fixed the same way that you would fix call reluctance. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. Please flip the page. On the next couple of pages in your participant guide, we're giving you the opportunity to write out on the follow-up data form that on page 5 that's right in front of you, hopefully. We're giving you the opportunity to actually go back through, write down your 2 types of call reluctance that you're the most motivated to work on. If you've already done that, then you can bypass this activity. If you want to rewrite them or write them for the first time, then you've got pages 5, 6, and then page 7. Page 7 is for the imposters. How did you fare on the SPQ assessment? How did you fare in motivation? Please write that down. How did you fare in goal level? Please write that down. How did you fare in goal diffusion? Please write that down. And then choose which of the 3 imposters is the one that you're the most motivated and committing yourself to work on. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to do that right now. Please begin. Then to finish things up here in your participant guide, I want to talk a little bit about thought realignment. Thought realignment is the way you fix call reluctance. Doesn't matter which type of call reluctance you're trying to fix, by the way. Thought realignment will help you fix any type of call reluctance that you're trying to get control of or eliminate. So if you notice on page 8, please read through that, and you can see a little bit about the definition around thought realignment. And then on page 9, again, this is where the rubber hits the road. On page 9, you need, in this follow-up session in just a moment, you're going to be asked to complete a thought realignment log. So your facilitator will hand you one if you don't already have one, or you can use the one on page 9. But it's very important that you understand when you're filling out a thought realignment log sheet, it's because you had some type of prospecting or selling situation that caused you discomfort, stress, and it caused you to procrastinate or hesitate. And that's why you want to fill out a thought realignment log sheet, is to help you get a different perspective or thought process around that situation that caused you to procrastinate or hesitate. So the next time that it occurs, you're going to get into it free-flowingly with a positive attitude, and it's going to be something that you're willing to do, almost excited about doing, and not something that you're fearful of. So hopefully all of that makes sense. What I'd like for you to do now with your facilitator's instructions is to fill out a thought realignment log form. Thank you for listening to this audio for session number 1, and take care, and please do this